Hello. I haven't made a video for a while, so I'm going to make a video. My wife and I, yes, I'm married, are going to see not the Pugilist, Southpaw this weekend. Jake Gyllenhaal got all buff and he's boxing his brains out, so I got to see if this is at all like Rocky. Because I love Rocky, the motion picture, 1976. But a couple interesting observations about Rocky, 1976. Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. Burgess Meredith as Mick. And you know who's great in it is Burt Young is Paulie. You gotta watch that. There's a scene with Paulie. It's really subtle, where they're going into the meat like the meat processing thing. And Rocky's like, I'm gonna kill you, Paulie, like joking around. And look at the face that Burt Young puts, like his cigar, like almost like the sad. It's brilliant. Anyway, couple observations about. Hang on a second. Let's do some drums. Keep it interesting. Check this out. This is a Ludwig. This is one of the old steels before they went to the super lights. Which, for the love of God, Ludwig, you got to put the super lights on your website. It is unforgivable. It's not on there. Seriously. Anyway, so this is an old LM302. Steel shell, the black and white badge. It has, classic lugs. But the neat thing about this is somebody swapped out, because the hole spacing is the same. Somebody put a P83 on here, which is nice. And I got the drum for like $75 on eBay. And they also put a tone control, which is really nice, because on this drum, back in the day, on the early chrome over brass Super Ludwigs, do you see where the tone control is? So if your throw-off is on the left side, on the modern, like post-1964 Ludwigs, is your tone control will be up here. Kind of in the front, here's the badge, kind of in the front here, okay? But on the older ones, the tone control was back up facing you, okay, which is nice. And look that up. In fact, there were some transition Super Ludwigs where you see the holes drilled on this side, but they put the tone control over there. That's at the factory. Anyway, a little playing, okay? It's been a while since I played that. That's the Black Dog. I got to work that back up. Anyway, so Rocky, okay? Rocky, in the song Rocky, like the right? An interesting recording. There's two things right off the bat that I notice about it. One is you can hear a microphone get smacked, I think by the conga player. Or somebody smacks a microphone. Okay? At the end of the song, I don't have a time on it, but toward the end of the song, after the solo, okay. Okay. Gonna fly now. Pardon me. They go back into that. But then you get the dun 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 dun, like the dun 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 bum 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 dun. Right in there, dun 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 dun, whatever that is. You hear listen. You hear a microphone get hit, like boom. It's pretty. Once you hear it, you can't not notice it. I always imagine it as a Coles microphone, ribbon mic, right by the congas, and the conga player smacked it with his hand. But here's an interesting thing too. That, I think they call it fanfare, well, not fanfare, whatever it is. It's the Rocky theme. In the movie, I notice it's a different version. I mean, it's the same, arrangement and everything, but it's a different version. I know on soundtracks, they often will sometimes, for the soundtrack, they do a different performance, maybe a cleaner one or a better one. Although I think half of what you hear on the Rocky soundtrack is what is accurately depicted in the movie soundtrack. Sound when you're watching it. But check this out. At the end of Rocky, the song, da, 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 the smacking the microphone, da, da, Gonna fly. The singers then, they don't say fly at the end. In the movie they do. Fly, fly, fly. In the soundtrack, they say sly. In homage to Sylvester, I'm sure. But if you note it, listen to it. They don't say fly at the end, they say sly. I always thought that was interesting. But I always love Rocky, especially at the end when you hear it's a split decision, right? And, the first vote comes in and it's for Apollo. Second one comes in and it's for Rocky. And this is right with the big climax when Talia Shire's booking up the aisle and she's trying to make her way through. And she's like, Polly! And Polly lifts the thing up and she goes booking up there. Right when they embrace it, the I love you scene, you hear, Champion of the world, Apollo Creed. I thought that is like the ultimate, climax. So I wanted to just throw this Rocky story out there. Anyway, let me play the drums a little bit because I think that's why most people come. Or at least they do. But anyway, so check that out if you can. Listen to the soundtrack. Not that you might give a poopy, but I do. Okay, so let me do this. I gotta tighten this pedal up a little because it's an old Camco. Well, I shouldn't say an old Cam. I should say it's a. It's a Cam. Well, I'll show you. A Camcolium. So this is now the beater on it is just one that came with it. I'm just too lazy to take it off. Remember these Camcos? They made a reissue of them. Okay, what happened was apparently when Camco was sold, Tama bought half of it and DW kind of bought the other half. But Tama designed this pedal. I love these things. See these? You can find them on eBay sometimes for sometimes they go for as cheap as 30 or 40 bucks. Look on the Music Around website, you'll see them there too. These are great pedals. They did reissue them. The cast, the aluminum is cheesier. And there's just something more brittle about the aluminum pedals. So, plus they're expensive. But anywho. So, let's do it. Anyway, back to the snare. You'll see that on these old 3M or LM 300s. You can see it has, the good butt plate. They came with the good butt plate. And of course, they also made the 303, the 304, the 305, and the 306. Where the 303 and the 304 were brass versions, and the 305 and the 306 were bronze versions. So when those came out, 12 years ago, I literally went out and bought. I didn't buy the steel one at the time, but I bought both brass ones and I got the 5 or the 5.5 because they were. Superphonics are 5 inches, 5 inches, and then 6.5. The imports, are 5.5. That's why I always used to say Ludwig, and I'll say it again. I still say it. Ludwig should make a 4x14 Supra, Ludalloy aluminum shell, and also a 5.75. So again, Ludwig, put the Supra lights on your website. It's pathetic you don't have it on there. Also, to consider a 5.75. Halfway the distance between 5 inches and 6.5. I've been telling you guys at the drum show for the past 20 years. Anyway, so listen to the steel one. That's heavy with the rim shot, okay? Rim shot action. Now what I'm going to do is let me put on I don't have a Ludalloy handy. It's around here somewhere. I don't know what the hell I do with it. But I'm going to put on here's the Super Light, okay? This is steel. This is the 4x14 I just got. Remember, it has the original heads on it. Alright, so just for a comparison, okay? So this is what they replaced the LM300 with. I have it tuned about a step higher. He actually, I think he just does a. Anyway, so that's a great drum. So a tone control in these might not be a bad idea either. Ludwig still makes them. They put them in the acros, the 5-inch acros. They used to put them in the 6.5 acros. If you find an older one, the black rose, you'll see tone control in there. All right, so This now is still has the old tagger on it. See the old Yamaha tagger? I got this 3 or 4 years ago. It's an aluminum 10 lugger. Okay, see in there it says aluminum. This is a I think it's a 1.2 or 1.5, probably 1.2 mil thickness shell. But this is a good sound drum. And this baby normally goes, I think, for about almost 400, which I think is a damn good price. It's kind of cheaper than the Blood Alloy Aluminum Supra. But this is nice. So the neat thing is you can go. A lot of the snare wire. Sorry. Let's see if that mic decompresses. A lot of the snare wires these days, I find, have a rattle. Kind of no matter how much you sort of tune them up, there's a weird sort of like they're sensitive, but there's a weird rattle. That's why I really prefer the Ludwig proper snare wires, at least the older ones, sound terrific on the drum. Do you remember the old Ludwig WFL? I think Slingerland did it too. But plastic was the rage, and you'll see the ends are plastic, right? And you'll see like a patent number on them. I think they used them as late as, the lates, even into the early 70s, I think. And ironically, they put them on the cheaper drums, like the Acrolites and the Standards. Those are great snare wires if you can find them. But anyway, so here's the aluminum. So I know I have terrible technique, especially if I'm just starting out, because my left hand I have the thing. But let me try a buzz roll. Give me a minute. It might take about 30 seconds for it to sort of get up to. If I have a song, like years ago, I remember one of the songs I did a buzz roll into a downbeat. Most people can just cleanly do them. But I had to kind of play a buzz for about 15 minutes, so when it came in the song, it would sound good. But so. Now see how choppy that is? It's a familial tremor. It's a little worse now because I've been drinking coffee. I just love coffee. But even with this, eventually it will smooth out. Anyway, so you can hear the ring of this guy. And it's pretty tightly tuned because I have the factory heads on it. The top is a head only made by Remo USA. The bottom, though, I guess it is. Yeah, so it's probably a Ambassador snare side. Remember, snare side heads, Ambassador and Diplomat snare side heads. They probably make Emperor snare sides too. Those are not the same as regular Ambassador, Diplomats, and Emperors. I don't have to tell 90% of you, but a lot of people really, they think they're the same. You really need the sensitivity. And actually, back in the day of skin heads, when they used to use cow skin, or, hide, what the hell did they call them? I don't know. There's a term for it. I can't think of it. But anyway, on the underside, the snare side heads, when cows came in and they had fetuses inside them, it's not even funny, they would take the real fine, delicate skin from the cow babies that are still inside the cow, and that's what they'd use, those real thin membranes for the snare side. It's pretty grody. But anyway, so here it is. Right in the center, no rim shot. Rim shot. That's Whole Lotta Love Live, 1973. Which, by the way, when Jimmy Page did sort of the first cleanup of it a few years ago, like the box set from that, when he reissued The Song Remains the Same, he actually kind of took that out. If you listen, you don't hear that anymore in Whole Lotta Love. Actually, you know what? He doesn't hit the hi-hat. Anyway, so what else? What else can we do here? So the aluminum Yamaha up. And I actually, every so often, check Musician's Friend. They offer this thing for $1.99 one day. So I bought one. So that's the tagger, which I'm going to leave on there. Like Nigel. I think it's Nigel. Okay? So, and then what I'm going to do, I really love this 3x13. You can pick these babies up for a song. Now this particular one has the tone control. I think the later ones, they took the tone control out. This has a Ludwig head on it made by Evans. When Evans was, they were putting those heads on. The snare side is a hunk. But, and also, too, this drum actually was dropped. I didn't realize. I bought it on eBay. See that? But it sounds terrific. That rat bastard that sold it to me. Maybe they didn't see it. But anyway, so I do like this drum. There's a certain way about it. Tone control on? No, it's not. So it's this is sort of in the Fleetwood Mac-y sort of. So, let me see what else I can show you. That's kind of whack time. Oh, check this out. This is a pearl steel. Now around the time they didn't call it, the Jupiter model was a brass shell drum. By the way, in the 70s, Pearl was really the only company, at least early, like late 60s or into the early mid-late 70s, that made really a brass, like a nice heavy brass drum. And one of the models of the brass series, they called it Jupiter, had a certain throw-off and stuff. But anyway, the popular term, people generally call the chrome over brass pearls from that day Jupiters. It's sort of, you know, it's kind of a misnomer, but this is a steel version, okay? Tips for you, if you're ever going to buy one of these babies. The steel versions just have these 2 lines. The brass versions will have 3, unless it's a later one. Sometimes the later ones have 3 lines, but they are steel. Anyway, and of course, Stuart Copeland, his snare of divine provenance that they made, the Stuart Copeland Thomas snare model, I don't know, 10 years ago. They still make them. I and some other shrewd people on the drum forums, we knew it was a pearl he had, because Tama didn't make a brass one. And sure enough, in one of his videos at the Sacred Cove, he's like, and here's the drum of mysterious provenance. Well, there's a pearl Jupiter sitting there, 5x14. I think it's a 5x14, not a 5.5. Anyway, let's listen to the steel version, shall we? This is a nice drum. See how, now it has one of these Evans Genera dries. Okay? And then the bottom is just a standard, you can't see it, but it's under there. And it has 42 strands. There's a couple fuzzies floating around in there. Anyway, so. Nice drum. You ever find these babies? Gotta get that 5-stroke up to par. Anyway, so, and what else do we have? What other cool stuff do we have? Ah, you know what one of the best bargains on the planet is for a great sounding snare? Hang on. Now these came, and you can still buy them. This is a 1.2 mil steel shell, a Yamaha. You can find these for like $149 shipped. They're great steel drums. They really are. This one might be a little detuned. But They're great drums, and they made a 5.5-inch version, which might be the student one now they have, which you can find I think for like 145 maybe. But they used to make a stage custom one proper, and I know according to the specs on the Yamaha site, the stage custom ones are 1.2 mil, where the student one, which might be the 5.5-inch version, which they don't. That's my furnace. That's a little funky, or my air conditioning. The blower is funky. Anyway, but the student one they say now is 1 mil thick. So I don't know. But this is a nice drum. So in the center of the drum. Okay, but if you deaden it just a smidgington, there's no tone control in this guy. It's a really nice clean sound. Gotta get that Stuart Copeland magic. Anyway, I just thought I'd crank this video out because what I'm going to do is I recorded some drums down here with my main man Jamie Carter from Carter Co. Recording in Chicago, which honest to God, he was voted best engineer in Chicago like 5 or 6 years ago. You know, came in second? Steve Albini, I swear to God. So I'll just end playing some drums. I wanted to show you another snare drum though, if I can find it. Ah, yes, check this guy out. You can find, well, I don't know, maybe not so much anymore you find them cheap. Especially since Yamaha and Sakai broke their relationship. Ooh, ouch. But these guys, this is a 6.5. You'd find this on the Tour Custom, okay? You know, the bead on the shell looks a lot like those Pearl, you know, the Jupiter I was telling you. This is a 6.5. When I first got it, I thought it was a 7. That's a 6.5. All right. So, but this guy too, it's not tuned that well. It's a little ringy, but these are great drums. You used to be able to find these on eBay for nothing. I mean, the 6.5s will go for more dough, but the 5s, you can find them on there. They're like 50, 60. They're terrific drums. And they're freaking seamless. These original Japan ones, I think they were seamless. Let me double check. Some of them, I know a lot of them were seamless, but then they went to yeah, this is a seamless drum, okay? This is a seamless spun. Yeah, but later on they went to welded, which I think they still sound good. People are always like, I get a seamless. But anyway, so and then just a wee bit of muffling. If I get this out here. You hear that rattling? You know, on certain snare wires, you notice that. You don't really notice it live, but well, that's a little better. Oh, my flams. watching. Again, check that rocky stuff out. Really, you hear the microphone get cracked toward the end of the song, and at the end they say "Sly" on the soundtrack version. But yeah, anyway, as I started to say, I recorded some drums down here with Jamie Carter. But what I did was I also had the camera rolling, so you can hear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to morph the sound from the camera, and then through a friend of mine, I'm going to bring the drums up, so how it sounded through like the mics and stuff. So that should be exciting, I think. So, and I'll probably put some music to it too. So I'll bring the drums in, so they'll be like, hey, that's a nice recorded sound, and then bring in like a bass playing along with it. So thanks for watching. I hope you're having a good summer. It's going to be over soon. Well, if you have kids, for them, I mean, school's coming up. So I hope everything is good. Everything is smooth. I'm in the process of recording my next tunes, which are funky, cranko, delicate. So thanks for watching. More videos on the way.